So in our previous video, I showed you how to create you some a mullion by selecting an existing mullion and changing some of the dimensions of it. In this video, we're going to cover how to put solid panels, or what we call spandrel panels, in here. Okay, so let's do it. It's pretty easy. We're going to go into architecture, and we'll select our curtain wall here. Okay, and those spandrel panels, let's flip over here real quick to the other side where we already have them modeled. Okay, those spandrel panels look something like this. Okay, in other words, they're a series of solid panels that we're going to put in these slots, this slot, and this slot. And so let's flip it back. And let's do it. So what I'm going to do, let's first look at the wall section. I put a wall section in here. If we go into level 1, you'll see that I put a wall section on this side as well as this side over here, but on this side right here. And let's go in and take a look at that wall section real quick so we can kind of see the relationship between. It's called a glass section. Okay, for a glass curtain wall. And we can see right here, here's one mullion, here's the top mullion. This is the panel that's glass right now that we want to turn into solid. Okay, and then if we look down here, we'll see right here at the, remember we created a grid line right here at the finished floor. And so half of that mullion is on one side and half of it's on the other side. Right there, and then we've got a spandrel panel that is covering up so that we have a 10-foot distance right here to the next mullion, and then on down until we get to the ground right here. Okay, this all looks pretty good. There is something we'll need to fix later. As you can see right here, the curtain wall is not up against the is not really, it should be, up against the floors and roof, just like our metal studs were in our opaque curtain wall. But we won't worry about that right now. What we're going to do is get into panels. So what we're going to do is replace this with a solid panel right here. And so I'll just leave this up, and then we'll go back into finished floor. And so we can see here is, okay, on the first floor, there's our curtain wall and its position in relationship to right there, our opaque, our metal stud curtain wall. So let's go back now to the 3D view because it's easier to deal with it there. And let's swap out a couple of these panels just to show you. So all we have to do to change this from a glazed panel is to make it into a solid panel. And so let's use the tab key here. I'll put my cursor close to that panel, okay, until I get it selected. Okay, as soon as it turned blue, then I just clicked, I left clicked and selected it, and you'll see that it's a glazed panel. Okay. Now, if I wanted this to be a reflective panel, reflective glass, some other kind of glazing material, or change its thickness or something like that, I could go in there and edit this type, okay? But that's not what I want to do. What I want to do is change this to a solid panel, okay? And I've already loaded this solid panel in here because that's how I got the solid panels on the other side. If I wanted to, if it wasn't in my drawing, then what I could do is just like we've done it's a family. So we can go into insert, we can go into load a family, and I've already been here before, so you can kind of see it, but we go US Imperial, and then if we go down here to curtain wall panels, okay, and you'll see 3 types: the solid panel, the glazed panel, and an empty panel. And an empty panel allows us to put the empty panel in here, and then there's just air in there, okay, as far as the model is concerned. But in order to have air, you can't delete the panel. That won't work. What you have to do is put an empty panel in there, okay, just FYI. So let's go back, select our panel again, okay. So I'm going to use the tab key till I get my panel, and then I'm going to change it to solid, okay. Now, once I've done that, you can see now it's a solid panel. If I select that solid panel, tab, till I get that solid panel, I can look at its specifics. It's got a 1/2 inch offset. We'll talk about that in just a second. It's 2.5 inches thick. Okay, we're going to change that here in the middle. And right now, the analytical construction is metal. And is there a material for it? Construction, oh, there's a material. And it's using a default material. I'm going to change this to aluminum, okay, so that it'll change. So let's take the solid panel and let's do that. Let's make all those changes. So we want this panel not to be 2.5 inches thick, but we want it to be 1 inch thick, okay. And then we'll leave the offset at 1/2 inch right now. And then the material we're going to change, we want the panel to be the same material as our mullions, and our mullions were aluminum. So I'm just going to click in here and then type in alum and see if aluminum comes up. Sure enough, there it is. Okay, and we'll select aluminum. So you've now changed. Now, probably what I should have done is duplicate this. So that but if I want my other panels that I've already put in to change to them, then they need to be the same name, right? So if they're the same name, they'll automatically change for me. So I'm just going to go ahead and leave this, apply, say okay. And now these panels that are over here on this, they're automatically updated, okay? Because they share the same name as this panel right here. And so now what I want to do is come in and change all these other panels. And I'm just going to do the first row, and then you can do the rest of them. The easiest way to do that is, once again, kind of zoom in a little bit here, put your cursor close to where the panel is, and then hit the tab key until you get it. And then I'm going to select that, okay? And you'll see it remains blue. And so then I'm going to move over here to this next set of mullions. I'm going to hit the tab key again until I get that panel, and then I'm going to hold the control key down, okay, and this will add them together. So now I've got this selected and this selected, and then I can go down the row here, continuing to do the same. The key to this is I don't have to keep the control key held down while I'm tabbing, but once I tab that, I want to make sure that I hold the control key and then select it, because if I don't hold the control key, it'll just select this one and deselect all the others. Okay, so let's do that one more time or two more times. We'll hit the tab key again, control key, tab, or select. Once again, I'm just using the left key, left button to do that. And once again, I'm going to come right over here, tab, 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 tab. Oh, I went by it. Let's see if I can find it again. There we go. Control key and select. Okay, now I've got all of these other panels selected. I can go in here and select my solid panel, and they should be now all solid. Okay, so what I want you to do is come in and do the same thing here, here. You know, these what are they? 6 panels there, and these 6 panels here, and get them all solid with this aluminum finish on it. And if we go over here and look, we can see now these panels over here, because we changed the specifications in their settings, they now have aluminum panels on it. And they're 1 inch thick. Now, the other thing is let's take a look at my section real quick before I step out of this view. So I'm going to go into my glass section so I can see my glass here, okay? And you'll see now I have a panel there, okay? There's my 1 inch panel, okay? And there's my glass. Now, if I wanted those two things lined up, what I would have to do is select the panel, okay? Edit the type, okay? And remember I said this 1/2 inch offset? Well, that's a 1/2 inch offset from the center of the mullion, okay, where the glass pane is. So it looked like to me it was probably 1 inch. I'm going to just put 1 inch in here, and we'll just play with it for a second and see, okay? And you'll see that it moved it. It's pretty much in line, okay? so that's an inch from here to the center line of that panel, okay? It's from that grid line to the center line of that panel. So if I want to know how much further I need to move it, I could just measure using the distance measure here, okay? And let's see, distance, and let's see if we can measure from here to here. Oh, that's another 1/2 inch. I don't know if that'll work, but let's try it. Never hurts. Sometimes I just do this by, so I'm going to put 1/2 inch. Let's see if this is 1.5 and what happens here. So I'm going to put that 1.5, apply it, and say okay. Okay. Oh, that was width. It just made it thicker. Okay. So I added the wrong thing. This should just be 1 here. And then let's try this as 1.5 here. Okay. So I just hit the enter key to accept it, apply, and it moved it a little too far, probably a quarter less than that. Let's go ahead. We'll take the time and get it centered on here. So 1 1/4 works, apply, okay. And boy, that's pretty close. So I'm going to buy that. So now we have a solid panel here and a glass panel here. And the next thing we want to do is we're going to line this wall up in our section so that it's connecting to the floors and the roofs so that we can put brackets on it as we saw in the lecture, and then set up our sheet with our views, set up our views and set up our sheet. Okay,